We're facing challenging times with a nationwide recession and tough issues right here at home. I'll increase our police force by 100 more officers. I'll continue to strive to make Albuquerque the leader in alternative energy and recruit and grow good-paying, high-quality jobs. I'm committed to improving our graduation rates and the quality of our education system. Working together, we can ensure that we reach our true potential as the greatest place to live in America.
Marty Chavez, today more than ever.
Now, Action 7 News. Coverage you can count on.
President Obama is urging fellow leaders at the UN summit to join the U.S. in confronting common problems. As
ABC's Viviana Hurtado reports in today's national and world headlines, while the president emphasized his respect for the UN, he was followed by another speaker with some discouraging words.
President Obama told the international community that the U.S. can no longer be blamed for the world's troubles, but it can't be expected to solve them alone.
Now is the time for all of us to take our share of responsibility for a global response to global challenges.
For the first time, the president spoke at the United Nations. Mr. Obama said distrust of America could no longer be an excuse for the UN's inaction. The global threats, he argued, are urgent.
The threat of proliferation is growing in scope and complexity. If we fail to act, we will invite nuclear arms races in every region and the prospect of wars and acts of terror on a scale that we can hardly imagine.
The president was followed by Muammar Gaddafi. In a 90-minute rant, the Libyan leader suggested that the swine flu was created in a lab for military purposes. Later in the evening, many diplomats walked out on Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad for comments considered anti-Semitic. President Obama looked ahead to the G20 summit, which begins Thursday in Pittsburgh.
We will work with the world's largest economies to put an end to the greed and the excess and the abuse that led us into this disaster and prevent a crisis like this from ever happening again.
Viviana Hurtado, ABC News, Washington.
Some analysts say in comparison to the economic summit held in London this past spring, the world's economies are doing better. The challenge will be achieving consensus on new policies to avoid another global recession.
Investigators questioned hundreds of New York City residents about a potential terror attack. A group of apartments in Queens was raided last week after a terror suspect from Denver visited there. Suspicious backpacks and cell phones were taken from one home. Authorities are trying to figure out the scope of a possible plot to detonate homemade bombs. The Denver man and his father have both been charged with lying to the FBI. The arrests and raids have led to a flurry of nationwide terrorism warnings. A Wild West shootout at the Mexico border ends with dozens of immigrants in federal custody. A gunfight broke out between U.S. agents and a group trying to smuggle 78 people past customs at the border crossing near San Diego. Several people were hurt.
It appears as though the agent may have stepped back into the booth briefly to do a license check on the vehicles, and when the agent did that, all three vans busted through.
Traffic was shut down for hours as police interviewed hundreds of witnesses.
More charges connected to Anna Nicole Smith's death. They allege Howard K. Stern helped obtain prescriptions by using a false name. Stern, who's Anna's former boyfriend, and two doctors have already pleaded not guilty to conspiring to illegally provide controlled substances to her. Smith died of a drug overdose in 2007. John Travolta testified today against two people accused of trying to blackmail him following his son's death. He said he performed CPR on his teenage son to try and revive him. An ambulance driver and a former Bahamas senator are accused of trying to extort $25 million from the actor in exchange for not publicizing a document related to Jet Travolta's treatment.
A small child comes way too close to an out-of-control car, and it's all caught on tape. This is an unbelievable surveillance video. There's a little girl in the bottom right. Child's walking outside of a gas station when suddenly a car, as you saw, crashes near the side of the building. It looks like the child is crushed. It turns out the car actually crashed and then shot up some of those concrete and metal poles you can see right there in the middle of your screen. We're going to watch it again as the car comes crashing in. The driver is charged with reckless driving and also driving on a suspended license. Wow. Some slight relief in the southeast and a huge sandstorm in Australia. Chief Meteorologist Joe Diaz takes a look in tonight's First Alert weather video.
The sun came out today around much of the southeast, and the rain clouds are being held at bay, but the water that has crippled many communities throughout the region is still a problem. Some closed down interstate highways in the Atlanta metro area reopened today, but there are still bridges that are somewhat submerged, and divers will be checking the concrete pillars for structural integrity. On newly reclaimed highways, many stalled and once submerged cars and trucks are being pulled from roadways by tow truck operators. By the weekend, many areas are expected to get more rain, and that will delay cleanup crews and repair workers from clearing flood-ravaged homes. Meanwhile, to Australia, Sydney residents are breathing a little easier now. Heavy winds have really kicked up the dust covering the city. A thick red cloud blown over the drought-stricken city settled over the outback overnight, and the dust storm disrupted air and ferry traffic in Australia's largest city. As bizarre as the day appeared, it wasn't the first dust storm to hit Sydney. The last one was in 2002. Similar conditions were experienced up and down the coast.
A group of parents and teachers come together tonight to ensure that students at APS are physically and mentally healthy. The School Health Advisory Council's goal is to make sure that each person gets the support they need to achieve wellness, which can all contribute to academic achievement.
Excited that they have such a committee, that they are concerned about health, not just within the school system or within each particular school, but obviously district-wide.
If you want to get involved in the committee, go to KOAT.com and click on the As Seen on 7 section. We have created a link to the district wellness manager. Some pharmacists are running out of the children's version of Tamiflu. It's one of 2 drugs that works against the H1N1 virus. It's also used to treat the seasonal flu. A company spokesperson says adult pills are still in good supply and pharmacies can grind them up into smaller doses for kids.
People with heart disease have been told to limit their salt intake for years. Well, now they're being told to stay away from sweets as well. Doctors say too much sugar can raise blood pressure and increase cholesterol, but not all sugars. Fruit contains fructose, but its negative effects are blocked by vitamins and fiber. High blood pressure can also lead to diabetes.
The stress surrounding just everyday life can wreak havoc on your health.
Tonight on the Health Beat, Dr. Ramo shows us a new way to fight stress and boost your immune system in the process.
Dr. Ramo, a term that is not often heard is complementary medicine, of course, to Western medicine. So we're talking today about mindfulness meditation. What is that?
Well, mindful meditation is really something that's really very important. And actually, of course, it's been around for a long time. People have meditated for years, but there are very clear health benefits that come from this kind of meditation. The idea is that you are of the moment. You don't worry about the future, you don't worry about the past, but you really sense with all 5 senses, what's going on right now. And I actually have become very interested in it because a number of the people I know do meditate, and I've seen some of the data, scientific data, showing that there are some real benefits.
Yeah, what kinds of effects does it have on your health?
Well, one thing that's really interesting is that it seems to boost your immune system. Oh. Researchers at the University of California looked at people who had HIV, and they tested the CD4 levels. And one group of patients were meditating 30 minutes a day for 8 weeks. They were taking a mindful meditation course. The other group got some information, but nothing like that. And at the end of 8 weeks, the indicators of their immune system, the CD4 levels, actually went up in those individuals who were meditating and went down in the other group. That's very important. The other thing that they did is they gave a group flu shots, and they measured the immunity. Now with the flu season coming on, they measured the amount of antibody response they had to the flu shots. Those groups in the meditation group had a higher response than the groups who didn't. I think it's pretty impressive, and it's important, I think.
It's allowing you to be present in the moment instead of worrying about what's going to happen, which you can't control, or what's already happened.
That's a very good way to characterize it. In fact, I have a book which I'm listening to on the for example, when I'm driving. I try not to meditate when I'm driving, but it's by a man named John Kabat-Zinn, who is one of the proponents of this whole mindful meditation, has done a lot of research on the health benefits. Tomorrow we're going to talk about using this in doctors to reduce stress.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ramo.
You bet.
If you want more information on mindful meditation, check out KOAT.com.
And coming up new tomorrow morning on the Health Beat, we continue our 2-part series on the benefits of mindful meditation and why this new medicine could be the key to keeping your doctor in business. That is Thursday on the Health Beat.
Tonight, new information on one of the most intriguing questions since space exploration began. Would it be possible to live on the moon?
Water would be a critical element, and as ABC's Ned Potter reports, it appears there is much more water on the moon than anyone ever knew.
Today's discovery is something that NASA has been hoping for years. Not only is it scientifically important, but future astronauts would find water very helpful.
Water that might be used someday by lunar explorers, human lunar explorers who return to the moon, to do science on the moon and perhaps as a stepping stone out into the rest of the solar system.
When the last Apollo astronauts came home from the moon almost 40 years ago, scientists decided the place was even more dry than dust. There had been traces of water found in the rocks the astronauts brought back, but everyone assumed the sealed boxes the samples were kept in had simply leaked. But now, several satellites orbiting the moon have found telltale readings of ice in the lunar soil, billions of gallons of it. There had been hints of this in the 1990s, but now 3 papers in the journal Science say there is good proof. Astronauts have been lining up for years, hoping for news like this. They can break water down into hydrogen and oxygen for fuel and air.
These are all opportunities I think would be fantastic, and just personally for the adventure of it, who wouldn't want to do that?
In just a few weeks, there may be even better proof. NASA plans to crash a rocket called L-Cross into the moon, and a satellite will measure precisely what it kicks up. Ned Potter, ABC News, New York.
A look at tonight's top stories next.
So it's a final look at your morning forecast and a preview of Nightline.
Renewal by Anderson. We love our new windows.
When you're asleep, meteorologist Rob Gorino was at work, forecasting the weather you'll see when you wake up and what's in store for the day ahead.
Expecting rain showers in Albuquerque later today.
Then, when you get home, trust New Mexico's most experienced meteorologist. Joe Diaz tells you what to expect tonight and helps you plan for tomorrow.
Temperatures will be coming down, but at least a shot at some rain as we approach the weekend.
When you wake up, when you get home, trust Action 7 News for coverage you can count on.
Howdy folks, Jeff Bauer here with the final days of BIOS huge State Fair Stampede of Savings. With up to 30% off select appliances, 15% off special order appliances, and huge savings on flat panel HDTVs too. Like this 19-inch, only $169, 32-inch, $359, and this 42-inch 1080p, only $594. 30% off select appliances and more during BIOS huge State Fair Stampede of Savings through Sunday only. Don't miss it.
First time? Yeah. You know, I like to call this an amusement park of food. I mean, you buy a ticket, and the fun begins.
Golden Corral's taking your taste buds to a tropical paradise. For around $10, help yourself to island delights like spicy Cozumel jumbo shrimp, grilled lemon pepper tilapia, sizzling teriyaki sirloin, and Key West margarita chicken, plus salad sides and desserts, all for around $10. The tropics await.
Where else can you get all this for around $10? Nowhere.
Golden Corral. Help yourself to happiness.
Ah, I feel spent. Like something's missing.
When did it start?
Yeah.
We realized our Comcast bundle gets us less than we wanted.
And that our intro rate is so over.
I read about this. You have bundle deficit disorder.
Switch to Quest for the cure. Save when you bundle fiber optic fast internet, DirecTV service with more HD channels, and reliable phone service for a promotional price of just $89.99 a month. Call 877-96-QUEST for the bundle cure.
There's nothing more important than our health. So when it comes to health reform, we need a solution that works for all of us. Now the President and Congress have a plan that combines the best ideas from Democrats and Republicans, business owners and workers, doctors, nurses, and patients. A plan that keeps bureaucrats out of your health care. You choose your own doctor, make your own decisions, and you can't be denied coverage for a pre-existing condition. That's reform we can all feel good about.
They were the most popular girls in school.
She was top dog. She could have been a model.
Outcast.
Taking a look now at tonight's top stories.
A judge decides that a jail can force-feed a cult leader to save his life. Wayne Benton has been fasting behind bars in Los Lunas, refusing to eat any food that's not prepared for him by his Strong City cult. Today, a judge ruled that if Ben continues to fast and a doctor decides Ben's life is at risk, jail officials can use a feeding tube or IV to give him nourishment.
Jurors in the Carlos Fierro vehicular homicide trial saw dash cam video today of the suspect on the night of the deadly crash. It shows Fierro stumbling through a field sobriety test. Police also testified that Fierro smelled of alcohol that night.
And Balloon Fiesta pilots got fired up today when they learned the city was trying to ban grilling on the field. The decision incited a flurry of angry calls and emails to city leaders.